On my Facebook page couple of weeks ago, I posted a picture of a guy, and I obscured his face and kind of brought down the detail, but he was what I call a grown man dressed like a toddler. Like this old ratty t-shirt, long shorts, Crocs. I mean, it's just, there should be an aspect of decorum. And even though, like, if, you want to wear a t-shirt, fine. You want to wear long shorts, fine. You want to wear Crocs, I think there's something wrong with you. But the whole wardrobe together, and I saw a dad pick up his daughter, and he was wearing these long, like, basketball shorts and this long t-shirt and flip-flops. A woman argued with me about it was comfort, because I had posted this thing about the loss of decorum, and it was the most ridiculous back and forth. I don't know if she was just being contrarian, or if it's like I made a point so she had to make the opposite point. I have no idea. But anyway, this just came across my feed. This is called The Lilly Show, and I wanted to comment on it with you. I've taken a handful of Carnival Cruises with my wife. Most of them had to do with something having to do with her work, but we went on one that was just us, and it was fine. But I will tell you, going out of one port is very different than going out of another port. If we go out of one port, then the ship's demographics looks like the United States demographics for the most part. And it was nice and quiet. It was a nice, just leisurely cruise. It was very good. Then we went out of another port, and it was reversed. And it was like going to a freaking ghetto, what do they call them? Block party. It was insane. So they no longer allow Bluetooth speakers on the ship because people would bring them to dinner. People would have them out on the deck. All they did was play hip hop music. We didn't sign up for that. So Carnival Cruise has now come out with a bunch of rules that address no race, but just say, we're going to reestablish decorum. The way you dress when you go to dinner. The way you act when you're on the ship. The type of music we're going to play. They have to make rules to have a certain demographic behave. Let's get racist.
Carnival does not have to worry about me. They do not have to worry about me. We got the message loud and clear. We are not your demographic anymore. So, y'all, I was supposed to be going on a Carnival cruise. So, one of my friends is turning 30.
By the way, they were never their demographic. Black people were never the demographic. People were the demographic. This is post-COVID, by the way. And if people live near the port, like when you're in New Orleans, if you live near the port, then what happens is that whatever tickets are left, they sell them for like next to nothing, where you can like live on a ship, eat all day for like $25 a day. You know what I'm saying? They also do the same thing in Florida. And trust me, going out of New Orleans, very different than going out of Florida. And not in a good way. Let's continue.
And he's never been on a cruise. He doesn't have a passport, so do not suggest flying somewhere. So he's never been on a cruise, and he was like, it's my dirty 30. I want to
Dirty 30
ship. He'd be seeing all the videos of Carnival. He was like, I want to.
Dirty 30 tells you everything you need to know. What the fuck is with this culture? What is it? This whole thing, white people don't have a culture. We have a culture. And it has European roots. We have a culture. But for whatever reason, the lowest of the low adopt this culture. Whether you're white, black, Latino, whatever. The lowest of the low adopt this culture. Where you're having your dirty 30. Where you're going to get turned up. Jesus Christ.
I want to do that. Because I'm trying to be lit for my birthday, right? Well, Carnival has decided they want to rebrand. They don't want to be known as the turnup cruise no more.
They're not the turnup cruise.
Budget friendly cruise no more. They want to
Jesus.
be, I don't know, I guess they want to be royal. Even though when people book Carnival, they know what they are booking.
No, they don't.
Booking a turnup cruise, period. Everybody on there.
No, we don't. That's just it. We've been taking cruises for a long time because of our job. No, we don't. It was never this. Post-COVID, it became that.
Do they know that? I don't think they do, actually. I don't think Carnival Cruise is, when people think of a Carnival Cruise, I don't think they plan on sitting there turning up with the brothers.
No, we don't.
Okay? Welcome back to the video. We are talking about Carnival Cruise ships and their black demographic, which has almost tanked the company. Videos are coming out all the time about Carnival Cruise and the disasters that always happen on deck and below deck, I'm sure. Not usually in the sea as well, unless one of these drunk hooligans fall overboard and then you have to, you know, turn the boat around, spend thousands of dollars for a rescue mission. It is what it is. These people have destroyed everything.
I haven't been on one of those yet. I haven't been on a ship where somebody went overboard, but that's, yeah.
And now they're mad. They are offended because Carnival Cruises, I believe, has banned rap music.
Good.
It seems to be a normal measure when you have a certain demographic and they keep playing this kind of music and then turning up, as they like to say. They say turn.
Yeah, if you've never been on a cruise, especially on the first day, you load up on the boat and, you know, they're like, and depending on the level that you're on, my wife and I go to a certain level. And the idea is, you know, we'll have your bags at your cabin, so please go on the deck. We're serving drinks here, and there's some snacks here, whatever, you know, some food. And then they have this meeting, usually around the center of the ship where the big pool is, and everybody kind of gathers around and they start playing music. Well, on the Florida, when I went out of the Florida one, which is, you know, the current demographic of the United States, they just played fun dance music and it was fun. You know, everybody was having a good time and everybody was doing their thing. When I went out of the New Orleans one, they played hip hop, and let's just say some of it that I heard wasn't censored, and there are kids on the cruise, and it was like going to a block party. It was insane.
Up, but what they actually mean is they're turning down the experience for the rest of the guests. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
They mean chimping out. They mean acting the fool, making the cruise not fun.
Oh my God! This beautiful blonde girl just said chimping out. So, honestly, the only other person I've ever heard use that term, I grew up in government housing. So I spent probably the first 12 to 13 years of my life in majority black schools, majority black neighborhoods or whatever. And that was a thing that was said when black kids would mess up, parents and grandparents and stuff, telling them they're acting like monkeys, acting like chimps, chimping out or whatever. They actually said that to each other. So that's chimping out. Yeah, that's good.
For anyone else. They mean chimping out. They mean acting the fool, making the cruise not fun for anyone else. Heaven forbid you have kids there and you have,
right.
You know, several people of color twerking and listening to rap on high volume. Some people want to go on a cruise to relax. Personally, I don't think a cruise would be relaxing at all. I've never understood the appeal of wanting to be on a ship like a sardine for months. Why would you want to do that? But whatever.
Well, it's not for months. It's only for like a few days. And the cruise, like I said earlier on, we would go on like these little 5-day cruises, which honestly is like 3 days, 2 nights. So, you know, you drive down there and you go to a port, you go to the beach or whatever. I personally can go the rest of my life without having a cruise, but my wife likes the experience, and it, you know, is something she likes to do. So shit, I like to do it. You know, I like wherever she's going to go, I want to hang out with her. Months on end, yeah, I can admit, but I have met 2 different couples. They're older couples and they're retired, and they're not just older, they're fucking old. It is actually cheaper for these two couples to get off a boat and get on another boat, and then get off that boat and get on another boat, and just stay on cruises. It is actually cheaper for them to live like that than it is to stay in a retirement home. Because God forbid if something happens to them, the ship will get them to port. There are doctors on the ship. And they can do laundry and all that. It is actually cheaper for them to live boat to boat to boat than to stay in a retirement home. Fucking brilliant.
Some people like to go on cruises. Not for me. Certainly not for the blacks, okay? They've ruined cruise like a sardine for months. Why would you want to do that? But whatever. Some people like to go on cruises. Not for me. Certainly not for the blacks, okay? They've ruined cruise ships. They've ruined the entire experience. They fight. They listen to their music on blast. They're dancing. They're acting the fool. They're getting rowdy. And they're frankly, it's a hazard for other people. Not to mention there are pools there, okay? When you have people running around, when you have people drunk and acting the fool and partying and turning up, as this woman said, it creates a really dangerous environment, especially for kids swimming in a pool. Kids can drown and be at the bottom of a pool and no one would notice because of all the chaos going on. And that happens a lot. So you can't blame the cruise line for not wanting you to be there or just asking you to turn the volume down on your entire culture just a little bit. You know, they have other customers. It's not just about you.
Turn the volume down. You see, on your culture, that's awesome. And again, there are tons of black people who have dark skin, who feel the same way she does. Okay? Go back to the Chris Rock thing about you're not looking over your shoulder for the media, you know. So yeah, she's got it. Yeah.
Culture just a little bit. You know, they have other customers. It's not just about you. When you go to a cruise like this, you have to abide by the rules. There's sound ordinances. They want you to be respectful, and they're trying to create a safe environment. A cruise is pretty dangerous, really. You're on an open vessel on the sea. A lot of people packed in. It could turn bad really quick. There's fights, then there's stampedes, people get trampled, people get hurt, and there's no way getting off the ship. You're at sea, and you gotta wait till you get to the next port. Here's a video. This black guy was reacting to this lady expressing some of her concerns about the cruise ships, and I think it's pretty valid.
Y'all go ahead and get your hate out. Get all your names you're going to call me and get that out of your system. But for your information, I have been on 9 cruises since 1993. The ones through 2005 were not cheap, but they were very nice cruises. The people that worked the ship were nice.
Yeah.
The people that were on the cruise were nice. You didn't go to the dining room dressed like you were going to the pool.
Thank you.
There was a certain amount of decorum required.
And that's been my grievance about this whole, you know, like the woman who argued with me. It's when, I mean, Applebee's is kind of like this low tier restaurant, but depending on what town you go into, all right, you go into Applebee's. All right, well, it's a sit-down restaurant and whatever, and there's guys in there like they just finished mowing the lawn, so they're in their tank top and you know, board shorts. It's like, what the fuck, man? Just, not only is it about decorum, it's about pride. It's about taking pride in your appearance. Is a self-loathing that, is it that? Nobody hates me the way I hate me. And I still dress appropriately. How bad is the self-loathing?
There was a certain amount of decorum required. When you got up in the morning, you could go through early in the morning, because I was.
The continental breakfast.
You could go through
This is not really talked about enough. This whole culture has kind of brought down the entire culture in general, you know? Streetwear came from that demographic. Yeah. Now people go out dressing like shit. Now
yes.
If you dress up nice, you're looked at like you're the weirdo. Have you noticed that? There's like no event that you can go to where people are not just dressed in sweatpants and slides and shower caps.
Yes.
And they look terrible. You know that there was a time when you actually had to wear a suit jacket to go out to dinner. They would provide one if you didn't have one. They would provide a little tux for your kid if you didn't have one. Because it's a general sign of respect, and it helps everybody else be able to enjoy the environment. But with all these ratchet ghetto people running around, bringing down the environment of everything, it ruins the vibe for everyone else, including this woman who also paid. Notice the black people complain about, we paid, so we should be able to do whatever we want, act up. Other people paid for that cruise as well, and maybe they wanted a relaxing time. Maybe they wanted to get up early, drink their coffee on deck, smell the sea air, be a normal, civilized human being. And just because you want to go there and turn up doesn't mean that you should. You can do that in the hood all you want. No one will be mad, okay? Except for, well, I guess no one would be mad. That's what you guys like to do. So you can't blame this woman, and before anyone comes and wants to call her racist, it's literally not. She has the right as a paying customer to expect other paying customers to behave.
Just real quick too, a complaint comes in a lot. They'll call this girl racist, they'll call that woman racist. What I have noticed is that people who don't live around black people, who don't have black people in their lives every day, have no idea what they're talking about, whether they're pro or against black people. And what I'm saying is, like, Tom Segura has this joke about when he says, if my dad sees a black guy, if your dad sees a black guy, Jesus Christ, I live in the great state of Alabama. Half of the work crew that I see every week are black, and we've been working together for years. And we break each other's balls. And well, she didn't want to go out with him because the black guy would go, man, I don't know. She just wouldn't let me in there. And I go, you're black. Why would she let you in there? And we fucking laugh because he'll bust me too. The thing about that's just, we break each other's balls. One, that's what it's like working with guys. Way better than working with women. But two, the city that I work in has actually more black people than white people because it's a blue city in a red state. And the complaint this girl has and this woman has, the guys I work with, they have it too. And these aren't uppity-tuppity, black people trying to sound white. They work hard for a living. They have other jobs than the job that they have. They're some of the hardest working, best people that I know. And they can't stand this behavior either. But the younger one, there's a young black guy who works with us. He likes the whole idea of party and, talking about how this lady who started off the video was talking. He loves going to events like that. But it's when the event is designed and self-enclosed somewhere where it's just them. It's not invading in the privacy and the enjoyment of other people. So I don't know how many black people, I don't know how often this young girl or this woman sees black people other than this woman on the boat and this young lady here. I don't know. But I'm telling you, their mindset is not wrong as related to black people that I know. They feel a lot the same way.
Breakfast and get coffee.
Other paying customers to behave.
Breakfast and get coffee and a donut. They had a continental breakfast that early. And then go to what's called the Serenity deck. And you could sit there and drink your coffee
Serenity's
and enjoy
nice.
The sun coming up. You couldn't do that on this last cruise. Because they were still drunk from the night before.
The reason it's called Serenity is because no kids are allowed up there. So that's why they call it Serenity. The problem is, if you allow people who like to chimp out, as she put it, whether they're white or black, trust me, we've got a part in our city called Chisholm, and it's not black behavior or white behavior. It's ghetto behavior. Because trust me, they come in all shades around Chisholm.
Because they were still drunk from the night before. And the only place they could find to hide with their goofiness is on the Serenity deck.
Yes, ma'am.
The people on either side of us in the cabin were ridiculous.
Oh, God.
Their trash
Yes, correct.
stumbled out into the hallway. And I'm not talking people, I'm talking literal trash.
We noticed that on the lower decks, too. My wife and I, we will pay for the rooms with the big showers and the balconies, and you can lay out and look at the ocean and stuff like that. But the majority of the boat, they're inside the boat, and they're walking down these hallways, and it's just these little rooms. And some of the rooms, there'll be like a porthole that you could barely see out of. It's so scorched and scoured by sea salt that you can barely see out of it. And they'll put like a little curtain of it. The first room we ever stayed in, which kept us from doing rooms like this, the first time we went on a cruise, we just say, oh, we'll get one of the inner cabins. We're not going to be there all that often. And we pulled back the curtain, and it was wall. It was a curtain to give the illusion of a window. It's so, but on those decks, the cheaper ones that you can get for the cheapest price, or you bought 24 hours before you went on the boat because you can get it for $25 to $50 a day. It's like walking. It's like a garbage strike. It really is. It's like the garbage strike you would see back in the 70s in New York. It's just piled up down the hallway. And again, there it goes. It becomes less black and white, more about class. We paid to be in an area where that doesn't happen, but on the lowest tier, it happens constantly.
They would go up to the bars, the buffets.
Buffets,
and get
gross.
Plates and plates of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then just pile it on the floor outside their door.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't.
This is another thing. This is facts. This is another thing. Buffet culture is awful.
Yes.
Buffet culture is disgusting. But again, you used to go to a buffet 10 years ago, 15 years ago even, and people it's almost like an unspoken rule that you would only get like a plate and then maybe seconds. That's it. Now, when you go to a buffet, they'll tell you, you can only get this much. You're not allowed to go up for 6, 7s,
and they will
pack it up, because now these people will go to buffets and they're really taking advantage of it, and they'll pack it up for home. They'll bring 5 to-go boxes to bring it home. And now, you know what happens to the rest of us? Now the rest of us have to be monitored by the staff.
Exactly.
Because they're worried about this essentially theft going on.
It is theft.
It's like a few bad apples ruin the barrel for the whole rest of us. The rest of us obey the rules of society. There's unspoken rules of society, like on a plane. Airplanes are a perfect example of this. You want to see black culture in all its finest? That's at the airport. They butt in line, they jump up before it's their time to get to deboard and deplane, whatever. And they're extremely rude and extremely entitled. And this has to end.
I don't know what she's trying to say. What she's basically trying to say is that there has been a new element based off of the popularity of cruises and obviously social media, I believe.
I'm sorry, sir, but the elephant in the room, the element that you're talking about is blacks. Okay, that's the element you're looking for.
A large role. And people now doing stuff on cruises because you know how it is. People are a Me Too culture, and so they can't think for themselves. And a lot of times, all of the things that they embrace or the things that they think is dope is all based off of what somebody else says. So because cruises have now become the thing, and it's been a lot of stuff. Tulum, it's a spot over in Ohio that everybody used to go to. Now it's Black Yacht. Obviously, that's been around for a little time. But she's basically saying that black people, and not even all black people, but black culture and the worst of us, have now infiltrated into a place that used to be an okay and affordable place to go. And they've completely ruined it by bringing their nonsense with them.
Yes.
And that's facts. Okay, by the way, I rag on blacks a lot, but it's not all of them, obviously.
Yeah, of
but
course.
You can't blame people for talking about it because it's most of you. That's the harsh reality of it. That's just the facts. It is.
It's this thing. It's even if the subsect of the culture was the one ruining it, blacks who don't engage in that behavior, so many of them run cover for that because they'll immediately call it racist. Because you're questioning. It's like if you tell a Jewish person they parked, hey, by the way, you can't park there. You're guilty of anti-Semitism. I mean, that's the mentality now. If you say something against someone, the worst of them will scream racism, anti-Semitism, whatever. And then the ones who don't typically engage in that behavior, they'll run cover because, with the exception of white people, most races look out for themselves. It is only white people that have been taught for the last 50 years to hate themselves. You won't see it anywhere else. But white people, especially in the United States, white people hate themselves. They have been taught to hate the color of their skin. They have been taught that they're the bad guys. They have been taught that they are what's wrong with the world, whatever. They are not taught their history. They are not taught, if they're shown history, they're shown the evils that have been perpetuated by white people and shown this is who you are. One, not all the good things that this world benefits from white people, but also that every race has committed evil. That's what's happening. So yeah, these races will run cover for the worst of their kind. Whereas white people, when somebody white does something wrong, the majority of white people go, yeah, we just suck. I hope we get to a point where this is no longer a thing. I really do. Because it is only white people who engage in this. If anybody in a race has a problem with their own race, it is such a small faction. But my God, the amount of college-educated white people who hate themselves is staggering.
It's most of you. That's the harsh reality of it. That's just the facts. It is most of you, okay? And I get that there's actually the good ones. There really are the good ones. I was raised in the country, and so that, like, I've seen like good black people. Like there's good salt of the earth black people. I know that. I'm aware of that. Okay. But again, the vast majority of the black culture is not great. Okay, and I realize too that mostly comes from the cities. Out in the country, they're way more behaved. I've noticed that. There's like black good old boys here. Like they take their bass boats out on the river, and those are like good black people.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Like when we go to the rodeos here and stuff like that, there's black guys that got the cowboy hats or whatever, and it's not a black thing, it's not a white thing, it's cowboy culture. You know, when you're out in farmlands, it is rural culture. You know, there's a culture that is embraced by everybody who lives that way. So it becomes less of a black and white thing, and it's more of a neighborly thing. And again, that's something that's been lost. And so they're going to call her racist because she's talking about the good black people, you know, the well-behaved. Those are the ones you can get over on. No, they're not the ones you can get over on. Those are the ones who live in a society who treat others with respect and who don't see themselves as victims. That is a huge problem with current modern black culture, is they have been taught for the last 50 years, 60 years that they're victims by the very party that they constantly vote for.
Boys here, like they take their bass boats out on the river, and those are like good black people. But the vast majority of them, these ghetto people, they've ruined it. Again, they've ruined it for the rest of them. And so black people need to start really looking inward and like shaming the elements of their own culture instead of rallying behind it just because they're black. That's the thing. There's been such tribalism with black people that they won't call out the bad behavior just because the person's black. Even though it's giving them a bad name. And in fact,
there was this joke by some comedian, I forget who it was, that if, I think it was Bill Burr, but if a black person acts up on the bus, that the other people on the bus will look to the black person not misbehaving. Like, can't do something about this? But when a white guy acts up on a bus, it's like, I don't know him. It has nothing to do with me. Again, no unity. No unity. Every culture has unity except white people. And that's because generation after generation after generation post World War II, it has been bred out of us. We are not responsible for one another. We are taught to shame ourselves. We are taught to hate ourselves post World War II.
Seen with like because the person's black, even though it's giving them a bad name. And in fact, what I've seen with like black conservatives, I think it was Ann Coulter, she said our blacks are better than their blacks. That's actually true. Because
that is true.
Our blacks, like the good blacks, they not only like they get persecuted by their own.
They do.
They get called Uncle Toms, you know? Like the good blacks get persecuted by the other blacks because the other blacks don't like to see other ones acting good. They want to drag them all down, okay? So just an FYI, I realize it's not all blacks, but it's the vast majority of them, so we must talk about it. Anyway, if you're planning on getting on a cruise, I would try to maybe check the demographics.
Yeah.
I would maybe see what it's looking like when you're boarding, and maybe
look at the port you're going out of, by the way. Look, like I said, when I went out in New Orleans, it was exactly what she's warning you about. But when I went out of Florida, it was the opposite. And there used to be one right here in the great state of Alabama, and it was fine. We used to go out of Mobile. But now they have it, but you have to be on the boat for like 10 days or something. It's like, no. But like I said, New Orleans, the chocolate city, as the mayor said, and Florida, DeSantis land. So it's, yeah, check the demographics, check, pay the extra money and go online and look at the videos. All those fight videos you see on ships, by the way, on cruises, all of them are Carnival. All of them are Carnival.
I would maybe see what it's looking like when you're boarding and maybe avoid that sort of cruise because it's not going to be enjoyable. It's going to be gross. There's going to be trash everywhere. They're going to be loud, obnoxious, and possibly dangerous, okay? Anyway, this is the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like and subscribe to the channel for more.
Yeah, I like her.
I'm a bit in a demure mood. I think it's because of my top. I got this in a black and red, so I might wear the red on the next one. But anyway, have a good one. I will see you in the next video.
I was noticing that about her top too, but I'm a man who's trapped with women. I have a wife, I have a daughter, I have a granddaughter, and I work. So the only time I see dudes is at work. So yeah. So that's so wild. I was looking at times. That is so cute. You know who that would look good on? It would look good on my wife. My wife would pull that off. But I would get it in a coral for her. And she's like, I have this in red. I'm like, God damn it. I'm a heartbeat away from going just completely fashionista gay. Anyway, that's the video. I like her. I like the Lilly show. I definitely subscribe. I'm going to check out some of her other videos. But this kind of hit home on a couple of things for me when it comes to like racism. I'm from the South. You act like we invented it, but then go to Boston and they make us look like the most enlightened people in the world. And also cruises, because I've been on, I think, half a dozen cruises now. So anyway, take care. See you in the next video.